Today, we're diving into the hidden dangers and, surprisingly, the hidden potential of dynamic pricing algorithms. And what's wild is how a tool that's built for pure efficiency can go so completely off the rails.
Okay, to really get a feel for what's at stake here, let's jump right into a real-world story of an algorithm just behaving horribly. I want you to imagine this. You're in a crisis, you're trying to flee to safety, and you pull out your phone to get a ride, only to get hit with a price surge of this size.
Well, that is exactly what happened. As people were desperately trying to escape the danger, Uber's automated system saw the huge spike in demand and just jacked up prices for a full 43 minutes.
And believe me, this was not a one-off thing. We saw it happen again during a bombing in New York and a protest in 2017. Fares even skyrocketed by an incredible 500% during a mass shooting in Seattle. You see the pattern, right? When public fear and anxiety spike, the algorithm makes the prices spike too.
So what's making these calls? It's something called a dynamic pricing algorithm. It's basically an AI that works in real time, juggling all these variables like supply and demand to spit out a price. And it does all this completely removed from any sort of human context.
For you, the customer, this creates this profound sense of chaos. It just stops feeling like a fair deal and starts to feel more like you're gambling. And it's a game where the house always has the upper hand, especially when you're at your most vulnerable.
But the cost we're talking about here isn't just about money. No, these price swings have a really powerful and usually negative psychological effect on all of us.
It's such a weird transformation, isn't it? One minute, you feel like a brand is your helpful partner, on your team. The next, when a price feels totally unfair, they suddenly feel like your adversary. That friendly relationship just flips, and it becomes a transaction where you're on opposite sides.
And get this, that feeling of being completely ripped off, it's not just a feeling, it's real. Neuroscience has actually shown that when we see a price we think is just way too high, it can literally trigger the same pain centers in our brain as physical pain.
So when prices are all over the place, we're left trying to figure out the hidden message. You start asking yourself, wait, does a lower price mean this thing is less valuable? Does a sudden price hike mean this company is just greedy? You're forced to wonder, what does this company actually think about me as a customer?
Okay, so this all sounds pretty bleak, I know. But it begs a really important question. If these algorithms are so powerful, could they maybe be used for good? You know, is there a better way to do this?
And this is where things get really interesting. What if, instead of having a system that penalizes you for needing something at a busy time, we could design one that actually rewards you? And this really highlights two totally different ways of thinking, right? On one side, you've got Uber's penalty model, where surges just feel opportunistic and punishing. But on the other side, you've got a reward model. And IKEA in Dubai, for example, actually gave customers discounts based on how long it took them to travel to the store. That's a system that values your effort and actually gives you, the customer, a sense of agency.
Just think about that for a second. IKEA basically turned pricing into a game where the customer could only win. The price could only ever go down from what was advertised, never up. It totally flips the dynamic from one of risk and anxiety to one of potential reward.
So, how can other companies start thinking like this? Let's walk through a framework for building smarter, more human-friendly pricing systems.
So how do you actually build a system like this? Well, the solution isn't just about writing better code. It's about strategy. It starts with having a clear story, a narrative for why your prices change. Then you absolutely need a person, an owner, who is accountable for that algorithm. After that, you set firm rules or guardrails to stop any extremes. And finally, you always have a way for a human to step in and override the machine when it's necessary.
Let's look at a company that absolutely nailed this. Disney is a perfect example of how to set smart guardrails. They didn't just unleash their algorithm to maximize profit at all costs.
So what Disney did was pretty smart. By using their algorithm to offer slightly cheaper tickets on less busy days, they gently nudged people to visit when the park was less crowded. This smoothed out the demand, which meant shorter lines and a way better experience for everybody. Plus, as a bonus for Disney, it made their staffing way more predictable and efficient.
And here's the really brilliant part. They built in that crucial guardrail we talked about. They set a hard price ceiling for single-day tickets. This protects customers from those shocking, crazy price surges and creates predictability. And that predictability? Well, that's the foundation of trust.
And this just hammers home why you can't just set an algorithm loose and hope for the best. I mean, a piece of code doesn't have empathy, right? It doesn't have a 5-year plan. It needs a human owner. Take United Airlines. When they started using algorithms for their reward miles, they put their loyalty team in charge, the very people who actually understand their best customers.
All right, let's tie all of this together. Because when we hand over these big decisions to a machine, we have to keep asking ourselves who or what is actually in charge. Yeah, sure, Uber did end up refunding those surge prices after the London attack, but that was a reactive fix. The damage to their reputation was already done. The algorithm had already sent its message loud and clear. Profit comes before people's safety.
And that right there is the absolute key. You have to be proactive. You have to manage the message that your prices are sending. Because if you don't, the algorithm is going to send a message for you. And it might be a message that you can never, ever take back.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to one simple but massive question. Is this incredible technology being used to create better, fairer experiences for people? Or are we all just being forced to serve the cold, hard logic of the machine? It's a question every company using this tech and every single one of us as customers really needs to be asking.